Hello, everyone. This is David Ellis on the Integrative Health Network, and I'm here with a clinical hypnotherapist. Her name is Michelle Bogdasavich, and I've had the distinct pleasure of spelling that last name about 3 times to set up the studio. So, Michelle, introduce yourself to the audience.
For sure. As I said, I'm Michelle Bogdasavich. I'm a registered clinical hypnotherapist based here in Regina. I am, how would I describe my practice? I mean, I work with all people going through experiencing all kinds of different challenges, issues, you name it, on their healing journeys, ranging from depression, anxiety to, just trying to stop bad behaviors, perhaps, someone who wants to quit smoking or who wants to stop biting their nails or what have you. But I'd say the bulk of my clientele are working through trauma. My area of focus, I suppose, would be working with people going through life transitions, burnout, and who are just trying to find themselves, who've maybe lost their way a little bit and trying to reconnect with who they are.
Yes, so Michelle and I share that profession in common. I am an instructor with IHN, and I am a hypnotherapist as well. So we're going to get the deep dive into hypnotherapy, because whenever that word comes up, people associate it with hypnosis. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
And they associate hypnosis always with the Dracula movies.
Right.
The concept of people doing things against their will. What is it? The Manchurian Candidate?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And it always has a sort of a negative connotation to it when it's brought up in conversation. Like, are you under hypnosis or something? It's usually those kinds of statements that come up.
Yeah.
So I would like you to describe for the audience the difference between hypnosis and hypnotherapy.
For sure. Well, I mean, hypnosis is not what the movies and the books portray it as, first of all, as I know you know. It's really just a focused state of awareness that's focused inward. And hypnotherapy uses that state for therapeutic purposes. And when we are in that focused but aware and awake state, we are able to access deeper parts of ourselves than we typically can access in the day-to-day. And that's typically where our emotions live, our memories live, and all those wonderful things that drive our behavior, that drive how we feel about things, our responses, our reactions. And lots of times people have that experience of, I react to this situation and I don't know why I react that way. I'd really like to react a different way, and I don't know what's going on. And oftentimes it's because there's something beneath the surface happening. And in hypnotherapy, we are able to work with what's beneath the surface. But it's really more about guiding someone. We don't do anything to people in hypnotherapy. We're really just guiding people through their own journey, through their own experience. There's nothing demonic about it.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually very excited to have you on the show. It's not often that I get those kinds of conversations. So when you actually reached out, and I'm like, yeah, Michelle, you have some stuff going on. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I was actually very excited to have you on the show, and I'll tell you why. Because I think people have an idea about hypnotherapy and hypnosis, and they're mixing it up with something what we call brainwashing. Okay?
Yeah.
And they're mixing hypnosis with brainwashing, and it's not the same construct. So the things that they should actually be frightened of, they're not frightened of, they embrace. And the things that they should shouldn't be frightened of, they shun away from.
Afraid of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have this conversation. Like, as an
Me too.
example, social media as an example. So I keep bringing this up. You got this phone right here. Okay. I want to show you an example of brainwashing. For those of you who are actually watching this show right now, you got this phone. The phone you can't put down, you can't turn off. Let me show you what brainwashing is. This is not conspiracy theory. Just follow me down the little rabbit hole here. It used to be that this phone, I used to be able to press one button and switch it off. Now I got to hold down two buttons to switch my phone off. Okay, I can't switch my phone off because every time I go on the internet to check my banking statements and stuff like that, they're going to send me a code, guess where? To my
On
phone.
your phone. Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if any of y'all are more disciplined than I am, but if I am going to get the code from my phone, I'm probably going to check Facebook, I'm going to check Instagram, I'm going to check whatever else. When I check Facebook and Instagram, they're going to load me with ads. Now, I also exist in tech spaces. I create software for people.
Of course.
I went to tech school and I created, and I had to learn something called big data. Okay. So I will explain to you what big data is. For those of you who don't understand, if you have a phone, there is something called a tracking pixel. If you speak into that phone, if you browse on that phone, the engine that is associated with that phone, whether it be Android, which is Google, or whether it be Apple, which is, Apple, or iOS, which is Apple, the engine that is associated with that phone collects what you're interested in. So now a code is sent to your phone from your bank. You're going to get the code. You're going to go on Facebook. But then you were just talking about red shoes. Red shoes happens on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
On the side panel, there's red shoes. Everywhere you go, there's red shoes on your phone. Every ad that is being shown to you is red shoes. That is an example of what brainwashing is. It is the systematic repetition of a particular source of stimuli to the brain to make the brain act in a particular way. Okay?
Yes.
But if I say, guess what? Your phone is brainwashing you, people are going to be like, nah, that doesn't make sense. But if I say, go to a hypnotherapist, oh no, I wouldn't want her making me.
I can't do that. Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
Which one of these things is more dangerous to your health and well-being? You understand what I'm saying? You understand?
100%. And I mean, hypnosis and hypnotherapy in particular, I would say is almost, it can be an antidote to brainwashing. So that when you have those automatic behaviors, especially around social media and your phone, and like, I know people, and myself even, I'll get like phantom buzzes where it's like, I think my phone is making a noise. And so I'm like, oh, and I go to check. And exactly like you say, when I click open my phone and I go and I'm like, oh, well, there was no message. What the heck? But, oh, I see I have a message on Instagram. I'll go respond to that. And, oh, I've got a couple emails. I'll go deal with those. And then before you know it, half an hour or 45 minutes has passed and you're like, oh, now I'm running late for whatever appointment. And, you're in a fluster. And when we have those, or maybe your pattern is in the evening when you get home from work and you're stressed out and you just don't have the energy to do anything else, you flop down on the couch and you start that doom scroll, and then before you know it, it's bedtime and you haven't, really done anything with your evening and you feel worse than you did when you got home from work. Hypnotherapy can be an antidote for that. It can help you break those cycles.
Yes, so a lot of people don't realize that if you don't have an addictive personality, your phone can give you one.
He's 100%, exactly. And like you said, it's designed to.
I'm always very curious about people who have judgment around, oh no, this person is suffering from addiction. Oh no, this person has an addiction issue, whether it be drugs, alcohol, or whatever else. but you can't put your phone down. And
Exactly.
these are the kinds of things that we want to discuss here, because the mind
Yeah.
is a very interesting thing. Okay,
So
the mind,
fascinating.
it adapts to the environment that you create for it. Okay, so your mind is,
Exactly.
if you want to think of the mind, the subconscious is kind of like the ultimate little genie that will try to give you exactly what you want, which is another aspect of the mind we want to discuss here.
Yes.
So, as an example, I hear 1,000 podcasts talking about manifestation. Okay, and they're talking about it from a metaphysical point of view. No, actually, it's not very metaphysical and it's not mystical at all. It's very, very real. Your mind will try to manifest anything you
Mhm.
have or wish for inside yourself. I'll give you an example of how that works. And it's a negative example. So I'm going to make the disclaimer that if there are any women out here listening to this, please don't get triggered by the following. You were brought up, let's say, by a father who was overbearing and authoritative. Okay? He may have said some abusive things to you. He may have said some abusive things to your mom. So you grow up and you say, I'm not going to be like my mother. I'm going to do something different.
And then what
You grow
happens?
up. You grow up. And you find yourself in the worst relationships with the worst kind of narcissist that you could possibly imagine. And you're
Yes,
wondering, how did I get here? Because I know better, right? No, you may know better, but subconsciously you were looking for your father.
exactly. Your
And
conscious mind knows all those things. Your
yes,
subconscious has learned a pattern.
yes, we learned something called the 10 rules of the mind when I was in a yoga school once. One of the rules of the mind is the greater the conscious effort, the less the subconscious response. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know better. I'm not going to go anywhere near anybody who's like my father and so on. But you find that the only people that you're attracted to are people like your dad.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't see these patterns, and that's why when Michelle says to you guys that hypnotherapy is an antidote to those behavioral patterns, she really means it.
Hmm. Exactly. 100%. Because it draws, and you said it perfectly, like the more the conscious mind engages, the less the subconscious engages. But vice versa. When we can engage the subconscious really powerfully, the conscious mind has a tendency to quiet down and disengage. And
Mhm.
then that opens up so much possibility from a healing perspective because all of those learned behaviors, learned patterns, that's where they are. They're in the subconscious. And that part of your mind might know better, so to speak, as you put it. But we can't necessarily access it very easily.
Now here's the thing, Michelle. Here's the thing. This is the danger of when I watch podcasts on manifestations. Here's the danger. A lot of people aren't aware of what they're manifesting
Yes,
because
yes.
they're not aware of what they're manifesting. For those of you who are metaphysically inclined, for those of you who are mystically inclined, let me just point out something to you. In order to do the manifestation that you're talking about, you would have to actually know what's in the subconscious mind because that's where the power comes from. Okay?
Exactly.
Whatever conscious effort that you are utilizing into space and saying, oh, this is the other thing that we're going to have this discussion because I'm like, you can say an affirmation, but the power of an affirmation is in the repetition and less in the I'm just going to voice it because I feel like it today. I am healed and I am whole is affirmation that is used usually.
Yeah.
But unless you hard code it to your DNA, so to speak,
Yeah. Yeah.
then you are going to have minimal results. The other part of it is that you have to look at the programs that are underneath the surface, which is where people like Michelle come in. The programs that are underneath the surface that are counteracting whatever it is that you're wishing for. You want to
Mhm.
manifest a life full of riches, and I want money in my life and stuff like that. It's not enough to just say it out into space. You have to check and see whether or not you growing up in poverty affected you, and you are going to come out of your comfort zone if it is that you manifest that riches and stuff like that. And then the poverty part of you is saying, I don't feel safe.
That's the key. It's the I don't feel safe, or maybe there's a belief in there where they don't feel like they deserve it, or they don't. There's so many limiting beliefs that we can develop throughout our lives, and
Not know about it either. We don't know. It's
exactly.
on the surface.
100%. And so even though, you may want to have that life of riches and success, but if there's a part of you that believes on some level that you're not worthy of it, or you don't deserve it, for whatever reasons you've created that belief, maybe it's that, oppressive father growing up, or other caregiver growing up,
Mhm.
who instilled that in you, or was criticizing you constantly, and instilled that belief of like, oh my god, I'm just, no matter what I do, I'm not good enough, I never get that approval, I never get that. And then that belief inherently below the surface that you might not know is there, but it's driving your behaviors and your actions and your emotions and all the things. And so you can say, I so desperately want this life of riches, of what have you, but it's what's underneath that is the magic key, so to speak.
Yeah. And it's the thing about it. I want to just break down on the anatomy of the mind. Uh,
Yes.
I want to do a breakdown of the anatomy of the mind because I think this would be educational for
Yeah.
the viewers. So the part of your mind that you're using to interface with people is something called the ego. Well, Freud called it the ego. Jung called it the conscious mind. Underneath that surface is a washing machine of everything that could possibly happen and also everything that could possibly go wrong
Yep.
because your emotions, your body's unconscious processes, and all of your memories are in one place. Okay, they're in the same washing machine cycle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so we call it the subconscious, or these are the id. Freud called it the id, but we call it the subconscious. And in that little washing machine of potentiality, so to speak, when one thing gets moved, everything gets moved around in that area. So, as an example, if I say something mean to you, what eventually happens is that you are going to have a situation where people are, it moves around your emotions. You get upset, it's embedded in your memory, and your body has a reaction as a result of it.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, I'll let you take this up from here.
Yeah, thank you. So your body has a reaction, and it maybe it goes into a automatic response mode, in terms of, you feel, like you say, you feel upset, you feel hurt, maybe in some way that mean thing that person said makes you feel guilty or ashamed, or whatever it is that comes up. And those emotions trigger responses in the body. Now, once upon a time, we, when something felt like a threat, like, being chased by a lion when we were back in caveman days,
Yes.
our bodies then responded in such a way to keep us alive. Well, we don't have to run from lions anymore, but the system still responds in that way, in that mode of survival, because the brain and the nervous system, their primary job is to keep us safe, to keep us alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we have a response that makes us activated, upset, nervous, anxious, sad, you name it, the body responds as though it's under threat, like we're running from that lion. And so then it acts accordingly. And then that becomes encoded. And then the next time someone says something similar that's mean to us, or maybe it's not even the comment, maybe It is we're walking down the street and we see someone who looks like that person who said something mean to us. Or there's another sense that becomes, maybe we smell something or hear something that was going on at the same time as that situation. Again, we're not consciously aware of it, but our subconscious connects all, you talked about big data, the subconscious connects all of those points in the washing machine. And it says, okay, when this bad thing happened, this song was playing. And so that means that every time this song plays, we're in danger and we're going to have this big reaction, this response, because we have to run from the lion. And so then that triggers us to have a response. And we're going, where is this even coming from? I don't know why I'm having this reaction right now. And that's why we're having that reaction.
Yes, and there are repercussions to those kinds of what we call triggers. One of the
Yes.
repercussions are psychosomatic illnesses that
Yes.
result as a result when it is that you are in constant fear, as an example.
Yep.
And a lot of people who have been attacked, especially by human beings, live in constant fear, and they can't get rid of it, even though the fear or the initial event has passed.
Yep.
So they live in a state of constant fear, which is what we call hypervigilance. Okay,
Yes.
hypervigilance on your nervous system is a tax that you put on yourself from the moment you wake up to the moment you put your head on that pillow, and you live in hypervigilance. And some people live in hypervigilance even when they're sleeping. It
Yeah.
is a horrifying situation to be in.
Yep.
The last part of the mind that I wanted to talk about is also the superconscious mind, or the superego. And so a lot of people get kind of like messed up when it comes to talking about this part of the mind. This is the part of the mind that we refer to as mankind. That part of my mind is the same as Michelle's mind, as the same as every one of you who's watching this broadcast right now. Okay? This is our personal World Wide Web. This is our internet, so to speak.
Yep.
And so the reason why I bring this up is because um, at our core, at our very core, where the archetypes live, the archetypes like motherhood, we are the same.
Yeah. There's certain characteristics that we all embody when it comes to those archetypes.
Yes, we are the same, which makes all the differences between tall, short, white, black, and all that stuff, whether this person is this gender or that gender, a bunch of nonsense. It is
Just
a
melts
bunch
away.
of
Exactly.
nonsense. All of the
Exactly.
division that you are seeing in society is a bunch of nonsense. The reason why we say that is because we, at our very core, the things that we hold dear, right? Like the mother bond, okay, are the same. And so I know a lot of people tend to like, oh, well, I'm very unique. I hate to have to break this to you guys. Yeah, we're not so.
We're
The
not so
uniqueness,
different after all.
the uniqueness comes from the subconscious outward, but at
Yeah.
our core, we are the same, and this is where we connect with what we call our divine spark, our spirituality, and such like. Now, here's the funny thing. A lot of people would like to believe that they're in control of themselves. I am totally in control of myself. The truth of the matter is that all programs from way back when could be running you at any point in time. When,
Exactly.
yeah, it's like when I hear people say, "Oh, I won't go to a hypnotherapist. Demons might come in there," as an example,
Yeah.
and you're like, "No, demons are already in there. I tried
I
to
want to help
get
you get them out.
I, and I take this example from Michelle. Michelle, when things like that are said to you, what do you say?
I, I mean, I just try to explain really what we've been kind of talking about, that, that when we work in hypnotherapy or we work with those different aspects of the mind, like nothing's happening to you. You're not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything to you. You're really just tapping into it, to yourself, to, deeper parts of your own mind, to your nervous system. And so nothing else enters that equation. It's really just about the individual and their experience and what they're experiencing. And so demons can't come in, like you say, unless they're already there. And then, like I say, let's get them out. let's send them on their way.
Your demons could be anything from programming from your parents.
Yep.
It could be
School.
bad experiences that you had in school. It could be bad relationships that you've had in the past. And I see
Exactly.
people with demons everywhere. Okay?
Exactly.
These demons are the programs that you are carrying.
Yeah, exactly. And we
And
all
this,
have them.
and this is the argument for hypnotherapists. There are not enough of us to exercise all of those demons because bad experiences happen every day. And here's the funny thing about it. Bad programs beget bad programs. So here's another
Yes.
rule of the mind that I want to say to you. When a negative thought pattern has been accepted by the mind, other negative thought patterns that are associated with that original thought pattern will also be accepted, and it compounds the issue.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll give you a running example of what I'm talking about. You are 7 years old, right? Or if this is triggering you guys, let me know and just shut it off for a couple of minutes. You're 7 years old. Your father says to you, "You're worthless. You will never amount to anything."
Mm-hmm.
You accept that as your
It's
path in
true.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's coming from a caregiver who you're dependent on for your safety. So we absorb that.
So you absorb it. Then you go to school. You behave the fool because, after all, you are worthless.
Mm-hmm.
Your principal tells you, you're a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will never amount to anything. Never amount to anything connects with the original never amount to anything because
Mm-hmm.
I'm worthless.
Exactly.
Now I'm a troublemaker. So I will continue to perpetuate the trouble when it is that I enter into relationships with people, enter into relationships with the opposite sex, and as
Mm-hmm.
a result, you are breeding a personality that is completely unwinnable in any way, shape, or form. That
Exactly.
personality will not win at anything whatsoever that it does. Okay?
Exactly. It's become ingrained in that person at an identity level where they are taking that on as an aspect of themselves. I am worthless. I am a troublemaker. And so one of the first things that I do when I'm working with people is I work to try and decouple that or detach
Yeah.
that belief from their identity of, no, that troublemaker is not who you are.
Mhm.
Worthless is not who you are. Now, maybe we will have done some actions in our lives or made decisions in our lives that maybe didn't, turn out the best way for us. That doesn't mean that you are stupid. So I always try to shift the language that people use away from, I have depression, I am anxious, into that's just something you're experiencing.
Mhm.
That's just something you're experiencing. It is not who you are. It is not part of your identity. Your identity is something separate. And if you are unsure of who you are at your core, at your identity level, and that's very, very common, well, let's discover that. Let's work together to uncover that. So let's help all of those, beliefs about self fall away to discover what's underneath the person, what's at their core.
Michelle, you touched on something very important. I know that there's a lot of practitioners who actually watch this podcast, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to say something here. There is something to be said for trauma informed practice. Okay?
Huge.
And if
Yes.
you haven't been schooled or trained in trauma informed practice, I highly recommend
Yeah.
that you get some kind of training in trauma informed practice. I will tell you
Yes.
why. I have had a situation just last week, right? Where someone was in my office and they said to me that, oh, a practitioner told me that I am not, I have a bunch of stuff on board that I need to get rid of. So, guys, let's have a serious discussion while we're on this podcast. Some people have trauma on board, right? If you can see the trauma that they have on board, it may not be a good idea to say, oh, by the way, you have this trauma on board, because then it's going to mix with their identity of themselves
Exactly.
as a traumatized person, thereby cementing a construct which is based in victimhood.
Exactly. It's that, like you say, negative begets negative. And so it's just another thing that they're accepting as a that's a negative about themselves. I had a client last week who came in and was talking to me about what she's been experiencing, and she said to me, "I've been told I have treatment resistant anxiety. How can we possibly expect anyone to recover and heal and move on from the experience of anxiety when they've been told not just that they're experiencing anxiety, but this anxiety that you're experiencing is something that you own it. Like, that's how we interpret those statements internally. I own this. Oh my, like, I have this. Can I get rid of it? And then you layer on something like treatment resistant on top of that. And then
Yes.
that they go through life thinking, well, I'm never going to be rid of this because I have it and I can't get rid of it, and it's treatment resistant. So what can I possibly do about it? And that creates a hopelessness and a helplessness in people.
That is correct. That is correct. Not only does it create helplessness and hopelessness, it also meshes with their identity
Exactly.
of, I have
Exactly.
this problem and this problem is who I am.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not who they are. They're not broken. They're just moving through an experience in their life. And we can learn to respond to those experiences differently than we have before.
Yes, but Michelle, I just want to point out something here.
Hmm.
Popular culture has glorified illness.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I want to just sing a few songs to you right now.
Yes, please.
You look like my next mistake. That's a
Okay.
line in Taylor Swift
In a
song.
song, exactly.
I can't live with or without you. That's a
Hmm.
bad position to be in, I'm thinking. Uh,
Codependence?
I believe that was Pet Shop Boys, I believe it
I
was.
think so.
What are the other things, songs that are out? There's a million of them. Pretty
Yeah.
much most of Taylor Swift's albums. Okay, right? Talking about bad breakups, narcissism, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then I am like, there's something powerful about music, because music, when it sounds good to us, is readily accepted into the mind. Your mind opens
Exactly.
up and gobbles it up.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what's happening beneath the surface,
Yeah,
right? But I'm
exactly.
going to I'm going to guess. I'm just going to guess. I'm going to put it out there that if we put out a bunch of albums out there where people are having loving, fulfilling relationships with each other, then probably
Are they going to
it'd
be
be
as
a lot
popular?
less work for the relationship coaches that are out there. I'm just going to say it, right?
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
going to say it. People are programmed by music, by popular culture.
We are.
We have a
Yeah.
situation right now where there's a tidal wave of negativity in popular culture. I'm going to
Talk
call out,
about brainwashing.
yes, I'm going to call out some genres for what they do, right? Pop culture with the bad relationships, etc. Country and Western music with the, alcoholism bit.
Hmm.
And I'm
Hmm.
talking about artists like Merle Haggard. He was given a choice between the bottle and his wife, and the bottle won. So for real, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Rap music. I'm going to call out no, I'm not. I'm going to be the bipartisan. Violence and aggression. Heavy metal music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is there nothing? Heavy metal music. Death metal music, I should probably
Yep.
say. Death metal music. Oh my God. It's not like it
Yeah.
used to be, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And then we wonder why people are acting differently. I remember
Mhm.
some years ago the shooters,
Yeah.
Columbine shooters, sorry, the
Columbine
Columbine
shooters.
shooters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Were referencing that they listened to Marilyn Manson, and then there was this big issue whether music is programming the youth. And yeah, I could answer that question, yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So here is the thing that we are facing. Instead of people organically getting programs via experience, bad experiences, good experiences, they're now being fed the programs through popular culture, whether it be
Hmm.
social media, whether it be
Hmm.
the songs that they choose to listen to, or whatever the case may be. And I'm thinking that there's a correlation between the rise in social ills and the
Yeah.
changing of music and popular culture.
Absolutely.
Because when
Yeah.
people like our grandparents say, we didn't have all those problems when we were young,
Yeah.
there may be a reason for that. It has
Yeah.
nothing
And
to
there's
do
a
with,
whole host of reasons for that, but that's among them.
it may be a reason for that, right? It may not have anything to do with, oh, we were just better. No, you weren't
Yeah.
exposed to what we were exposed to here.
Yeah. 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 That's a big part of it for sure. Yeah.
And so the mind is very important, which is why hypnotherapy is about getting to these programs. A lot of us are carrying the programs, they're underneath the surface, and they are informing our behavior. Okay?
Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
is, and if you don't know that they're there, you can't do anything about them. You just have to react.
Exactly. Exactly. And then the subconscious is driving that reaction. And
Mhm.
so that reaction may not be what you want it to be.
You know, exactly. Like
Yeah.
it's like when people say, I'm getting triggered. I hate that statement. Oh,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'll explain something to you. Trigger on a gun means that an explosion is about to happen.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
going to probably end in some form of negative
Serious. Yes.
consequence.
Right. Yes. Exactly. The word
Okay.
itself has a negative connotation.
Yes. And when people say that, they usually say it with the proviso that I can't control what is
Yeah.
about to happen.
Yeah.
No, but you can control what's about to happen.
Yeah.
That's why we have higher brain function.
Exactly. And it's
And
just about uncovering what the driver is behind that reaction. You
correct.
know. Yeah.
So I tend to steer people away from language that disempowers them.
Yes. Exactly. And again, that statement of "I'm triggered." Again, it's an identity level. It's an "I am" statement. I am triggered. Well, maybe you're just experiencing some feelings right now. That's another way that you could look at that.
Yeah, there is that. I also want
Hmm.
to talk about certain social ills, which may not be under the hypnotherapy, but it actually can help you put things into perspective. So I'm gonna call out a few social ills here: narcissism, psychopathy,
Mm.
sociopathy. These words are flung about arbitrarily.
Hmm.
So, Michelle, I'm wearing blue, you're wearing green,
Hmm.
and you're clearly a narcissist. This is how frivolous these words are being
Right?
thrown about.
Yeah.
Listen, if you, the definition of these words are very specific.
Yes.
So before you call someone those names, you have to be very, very careful how you frame them.
Yeah.
Why does this apply to hypnotherapy? I'll explain. because I see too many people coming into my office saying that I might be a narcissist. If you are a narcissist, you're not in my office.
I was just going to say exactly that. If you're a true narcissist,
You're
you
not
don't
coming
think
to.
you
You're
don't
not
think you need help. Like,
correct.
you know, yeah. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing to fix. And they're not seeking out treatment.
Yeah, narcissists do not
Typically.
seek out treatment. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing
Mhm.
about it is that a lot of people tend to believe that they put labels on themselves because these are the
Mhm.
buzzwords that are out there.
Mhm.
Like I meet a lot of people who say, I'm not feeling anything anymore. I must be a psychopath. No, there are a number of reasons why people don't feel anymore. Okay.
Yeah,
Trauma being
exactly.
one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Trauma being one of them. Trauma can absolutely purge your emotions.
Mhm.
And if it is that you have a trauma response and you're not feeling anything and you go seek help, then you're not a psychopath. You're not a sociopath. What you are is
Mhm.
hurt.
Exactly. Exactly.
And a lot of people tend to put these labels on. And I just think that a lot of people um, tend to throw labels around and then it
And
connects with
then
a
take them
program.
on board. Take them
Correct.
on board. Yeah, and that's where it becomes, I think, what you're talking about in terms of, problematic for them, because then it's becomes mixed with the identity, and we need to then decouple that. Yeah.
Right. So I tend to deal with people from all walks of life. The
Hmm.
thing that is very common to a lot of people is the prevalence of fear
Hmm.
in their system.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that fear is something that is common to everybody. Let's just put it out there. It's a
Yeah.
necessary emotion. Okay. And a lot of people have fear of a number of things: fear of success, fear of I don't know, ants, worms, whatever we call them,
Yeah.
phobias. Okay,
Yeah.
a lot of people have fear of the disapproval of others. One of the major fears in our society right now is the disapproval of others. It's become a major fear because they're associated with lack of survival, and certainly back in the day that was a thing. So I'm
Absolutely.
So I'm guessing I was just asking Michelle about her genealogy earlier on. So if you were Ukrainian back in the day and you settled and you were a pioneer out here, it usually helped to be on good terms with your neighbors due to the fact that if you weren't on good terms with your neighbors, there's a high possibility you might die out here. Okay?
Yeah. Absolutely.
The point of saying that is that we have a new resurgence of this fear in the concept of stuff like cancel culture, the disapproval of others,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
accomplishes the same thing. So there's a there's legitimate fears and there's irrational fears.
Precisely. And when we're looking at fear, at least in my practice, when I'm working with someone who is experiencing that,
Mhm,
what what I like to understand is, so what is that? What are we really afraid of here?
mhm.
Again, it's what's beneath the surface, and when we see reactions that are disproportionate to what they're experiencing, that usually tells me it's a program that's running, as opposed to, there's all kinds of things to be legitimately afraid of, and of course we're going to be afraid of them, and that's a good thing, as you said. But when you are having a fear response to someone saying something mean to you, it no longer mean, like, yes, we're community beings, like we at our core, we need connection, we need community, but you're also, in today's world, you're not likely not going to die if someone cancels you or says something mean to you. But we still respond to that in the same way because it's a program.
Yes. And going back to the concept of programming, I
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys a question. A lot of you guys will have children and teenage children and stuff like that. You ever try to take their phone away?
I wouldn't even try.
You ever try to take their phone away? Do you see that reaction that they're having? Like you're amputating a limb from their body?
Yeah.
That reaction tells you that there is a dependency on that phone that is absolutely irrational and they have been fully programmed. So I'm going to task every parent listening to this, do a little experiment. Say, give me your phone. You're not getting your phone for 24 hours. See the reaction that you get. Actually, for that matter, maybe you should take your own phone away.
I was just going to say, try it with
Exactly
yourself.
what reaction you have. What reaction do you have?
Yeah,
Because for some people, the reaction is the same as you're trying to kill me.
exactly. Yeah, it's a fear survival response. Yeah.
And that is probably not healthy. I'm just going to throw it out there. That might not be the most healthy thing. Like, oh, you take
Yeah.
my phone away, you're taking away my life, my connection to the divine. It's kind of the phone has
Yeah.
become our little messiah to God, really. And I'm like,
Right? Yeah.
guys, these are the things that you actually need to watch out for. And this is why we do these kinds of podcasts, so we can educate you, because these are things that people don't think about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just bringing it into awareness goes a long way because, as you say, we create our own realities. Um, you know, we can manifest. We can, our brains believe what we tell them.
Mhm.
And if we're constantly running the program, it's reinforcing those negative beliefs, and then it perpetuates. Negative begets negative.
Yes, which brings us to the next part of this interview, which is how can hypnotherapy help with everything we just discussed? Because honestly, we just discussed a lot. So, how can hypnotherapy help with everything we just discussed? Michelle, go ahead.
Well, as they say, it helps the conscious mind and the subconscious mind talk, really. And so, in hypnotherapy, when we work with someone who enters that deep state, deeply relaxed state, internally focused, the conscious mind quietens, almost like turning the volume knob down on a stereo or something. And it allows us to get into that subconscious mind that you referenced and understand where some of those things are coming from, why they're coming up, and it allows us to heal from those things. And what I often see in my work is when we address those root cause wounds or issues that have created the belief system, then those symptoms, if you want to call them that, kind of fall away on their own, because the wound that is causing them has been healed. So you think about even just a cut on your hand, a deep cut on your hand, and it's bleeding, and it's you keep putting a band-aid on it, but every time you take the band-aid off, maybe you're working with your hands and that cut opens up again, and it's like, oh, it's bleeding again, I've got to put another band-aid on it, and it never really fully heals, or it takes a really, really long time to heal, and maybe it leaves a scar. Whereas if you cut your hand and maybe you need to go and get stitches, or maybe you need to not work with your hands for a couple of days to allow that clotting and that cut to heal properly, then it doesn't take long, and that cut heals up, and it goes away, and then the bleeding stops and the pain stops because the wound has healed. Similar kind of concept.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also just the awareness that the programs are there.
Yes.
would make people tend to think, oh, that's not serving me very well, is it?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because if you knew what the programs are that are running you in
Hmm.
your mind, then it would explain a lot about your life, why certain things
Exactly.
are not working, why certain things are working the way they are
Hmm.
as well. And just the awareness of knowing that they're there and that they're blocking you from achieving your potential
Yeah,
will make you understand why it is that you have certain reactions. Okay.
exactly.
Because the worst thing that you can have is a situation where you are out of control of your own reactions and your own self. Okay.
Exactly.
And the reason why I say that is we live in a communal society. And because we live in a communal society, there are going to be other people with programs around you everywhere. And programs tend to rub up against each other. Okay.
Hmm.
And some of them actually connect with each other. So, as an example, someone who is a bred narcissist, and I say a
Hmm.
bred narcissist, they weren't born a narcissist. Their father
Hmm.
told them, "You are weak. You have to be stronger." The
Yeah.
father says that you have to be stronger, right? And so they associate strength with aggression.
Hmm.
They associate strength with attack.
Yeah.
And guess who they're going to be looking for? The woman, let's say if it's a man, that man is going to be looking for a woman who has been told
You're
something
weak.
along, yeah, yeah,
You're small. You're worthless.
you're small, you're worthless. And these two programs, they like each other quite a bit. Okay?
Hmm.
Aggressive man, I am weak, but I'm strong because I'm aggressive. And woman who says, I'm small, I'm weak. Don't say anything, you're talking too much. And these two programs like each other. And when these two programs meet, dysfunction results.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Exactly.
find, and if you don't know these programs, people, listen to me very carefully. I can't say this enough on this broadcast. And this, when we do these kinds of broadcasts, it actually is for public health. Know the
Yes.
programs that are running you. Once you
Hmm.
know the programs that are running you, you can avoid a life of utter strife and grief.
Yeah.
Once you know
100%.
them. To be able to do that. So if you guys are listening to me, hear this because this is something that is very very important. Programs are running at each other at all times of day. So you have two choices. You could run away to the Himalayas and live on a hill,
Alone. Yeah.
right? But I guarantee you, somebody is going to come up that hill to trigger
Right?
you.
Yes.
That's just the way it is doing, right? You might
Well,
you
and
walk down the
you can
road.
even trigger yourself living on that hill.
You tell yourself, look at it. That is correct. There may be some monk up in the temple, come down a little way down the hill to play some death metal music. You're triggered. You don't know what one of these things might happen, right? Any one of these things, any one of these things might
Yeah.
happen. So, because we live in a communal society, it is actually in your best interest to do your own personal work. And whenever I say that, I hate those statements because they've been so overused, I can't stand them anymore.
I
What
know,
does
right?
your personal work sound like? It certainly doesn't sound like, listen, whenever people say that, they're like, oh, I'm just going to just research on the net. What does it mean to do your personal work? Right?
Yeah.
By the way, please don't go to Google to look for self. Please don't go to Google to look for self improvement. Like, sorry,
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to say this. Please don't go to Google to look to improve yourself. Google is a merchandising tool.
Exactly.
You want to go to Google to improve yourself, you're gonna be sold a bunch of incense,
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
product. You want to improve yourself and you want to do the work, find a professional. If you're going to need it, you're going to need it. You're going to need
Yeah.
it, right?
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And I mean that
Exactly.
for myself as well.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah. I work with another hypnotherapist who helps me uncover and heal from the programs that are running beneath the surface in my own life. Like it's
You
needed.
see, you see, Michelle, I cut the corner. I just started a podcast, and now I know a whole bunch of you guys, so I know exactly where to find you when I need to do work on a particular topic.
Right.
Which brings us to the main course of this podcast. Michelle, tell everybody in terms of how you help people do their work. You do group coaching, you do one-on-ones. Tell everybody everything about what it is that you do.
Awesome. Okay, so yes, I do one-on-one, sessions, work with people. In addition to hypnotherapy, I incorporate um, music-based programs to help the nervous system calm and regulate. And by regulate, I mean not being peace and calm, all peaceful and calm all the time. That is not what regulated is. But I help people move more fluidly between the nervous system states. And that really is at the core of what I do. And then, I work with them one-on-one to uncover those programs that are running beneath the surface and heal from the wounds and heal from the experiences that contributed to them. I have also just started some group sessions. They're going to be running for the next 5 weeks out of the Heart Center. And those sessions are focused primarily on rest and restoration. In our society, rest is almost a radical act because we are pushed to do more, produce more. Rest is sometimes almost looked at as a bad thing, and everybody needs it. It is a core need of our being. It is not a luxury. And what I do in those group sessions is I help that conscious mind turn down a little bit so that automatic thoughts and all of the surface level things that might be bothering you or preventing you from relaxing are turned down, and allowing people to really just connect deeply with themselves, set all the stresses aside of day-to-day life, and just come down to earth for a minute and just rest. And so those sessions happen Tuesday evenings from 7 to 8 at the Heart Center. And people can reach out to me to register if they want. They can also go to the Heart Center's website and click on to the Self-Care Collective. And that is the group or the collective that I work with to offer those sessions every Tuesday at the Heart Center.
Excellent. Excellent. And for those of you who are wondering how you can get in touch with Michelle and you missed the crawler at the bottom of the screen, it is info at Michelle Bogdasavich .ca. And her Instagram is at Michelle Bogdasavich. You guys need to connect with this lady and check on your programs. Okay.
Mm.
All right. And that is something that I would highly recommend. Okay. I just want to put a plug in here for our resonance workshop, not resonance workshop, our resonance sound event, and that's happening on April the 24th and 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can come out to that as well. But for right now, guys, hit Michelle up because I'm sure she will have a lot of information. I'm assuming that you do a lot of educational work as well,
I
Michelle.
do, yeah.
And even this podcast has been educational, I'm sure, for some people who are listening to it. So, guys, find her, and yeah, it will do a lot for your life. It really is. It really is something that everybody needs to do at some point in time.
100%.
Don't let programs run you, jump out of the bushes, and attack you at times that you don't know. All right?
Exactly.
Okay, guys, that's our podcast for today, but we will see you in the next one. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
You're welcome, Michelle. Just hold on.